Hey, it's Todd Fox from Halos in the Infield, and we're here doing another podcast with my co-host.
Fernando Mendez. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, sir, and we have a guest on the show. His name is...
Javier Reyes. What's going on, everybody?
And where are you from, Mr. Reyes?
I hail from the absurdest land known as New Jersey. A wild land, let me tell you, but I cover the Padres. I know, there you go. The curtain has been lifted. Pretty. And look, it's been rough, man, because not only have they been bad, but also they play late a lot of times. So, especially what happened last week. And let's just say it's a lot of long nights. Long, dreary nights.
So I take it the smell of New Jersey is matching the Padres on the field.
That is correct. That is 100% correct. They are. Look, and that's the funny thing about New Jersey is everybody likes making fun of New Jersey, including people from New Jersey, which is like that's kind of what's happening with the Padres right now. I feel like the fan base hasn't totally accepted that it's just looking real bad. I don't think they're doomed. This isn't like a Mets team, which we're recording this right when this drama has been unfolding with the Mets, and it's just like gives me brainworms. Like I just can't stand hearing about the Mets for like the dumbest reasons most of the time. And with the Padres, it's basically just been this team, and we played the Angels this weekend. This team that's been, I don't know, I don't like being hyperbolic and being prisoner of the moment, but I think that they're closer to reaching that level of historic collapses. I'm sure there's been worse before, but the Padres are at least they're starting to enter like the what are the different phases of the Earth? There's like the core, then there's like the Cretaceous. No, that's Jurassic stuff. There's like the stratosphere. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. We're like at the stratosphere. We're not at the core of all time collapses, but we're definitely at least reaching the stratosphere for sure.
I think when it comes to the way we look at it is, as Angels fans, the longtime ones have remembered like the 95 season. You know, for us, we were 12 games up at the start of September and then lost the damn division and lost out in the one game wild card. That was a historic collapse. I think what you're talking about with the Padres, though, is this just coming together of such great talent over the last like 1 to 2 years. And they were like paper champs, basically, because I was telling everybody, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. You know, this is the one team that's finally going to knock the Dodgers out of that division run. And now we're looking at where the hell the Giants come from and why are the Padres in third place?
Yeah. I mean, look, I actually don't hate the Giants whatsoever. I like that team. One of my 5 favorite players of all time is Hunter Pence. I just thought that guy was just insane to watch play. I don't know how he was good with that swing. He was so much fun, had so much energy. I love Hunter Pence. He's a big nerd too. So I don't hate that. All right. It's a little frustrating to be like, oh god damn it, where did this even come from? But the Dodgers thing, I mean, obviously the hate runs true. And it's funny because I didn't understand totally the Dodgers hate for a while, since I only recently started following the Padres and becoming more of a fan of the culture. But the more it goes on, like I get it. They're so whack. Like compared to like all the other, like even like, so you have like those big market teams, the Dodgers fans, not the Dodgers fans, I don't want to generalize too much, but they're just a little like, it's a little cornball-y. I don't know. They just don't, aside from Mookie Betts, it's just kind of like, all right, like Justin Turner's just kind of whack to me. I've never understood that, the love for that dude. It's fine. I love Kershaw. Like I have love for Kershaw. Like I feel bad that people are always roasting him for the playoff success, even if it is true. But yeah, see the Dodgers succeed, and then I mean, yeah, for sure. It's true. I mean, seeing the Dodgers succeed, especially after the deadline and everything that transpired there, it's been bad, man. And I really think that the culmination of badness, just to, you know, on top of the Dodgers thing, is last week's, I think it was 28 innings that they went. And I stayed up until 4:00 in the morning because I'm on East Coast time, and I just wanted to die. Thankfully, I'm doing a lot of part-time work all over the place, so it's not like I had to be up at 7:00 or just literally want to die. But it was still rough, and it was that might have been the last time the Padres are talked about for the rest of the season, because it doesn't look like there hasn't been any reason to believe that they're going to kind of make a comeback. And this weekend series against the Angels, they win the first game, which was nice. I mean, with Joe Musgrove on the mound, he's like one of the only consistent consistent players on the team right now. So that was like, all right, that's nice. And then they get just bombarded in game 2 because Ryan Weathers is the worst pitcher in the league. So yeah, it's just not, if anybody can't tell, I'm very sad about the Padres.
No, that's fine. We love the real emotion. That's kind of where we've made a name for ourselves, just being real fans. not sugarcoating it, not hiding it. So my first question, are you a lifetime New Jerseyan?
I am indeed a lifetime New Jerseyan. Not my parents' side, no, but for me, absolutely. I've bounced around like a couple times, but for the most part, always been Jersey. And I mean, I made fun of it before, but I still kind of got love for New Jersey, to be honest with you. It's fine. And I also live in a
Okay.
really great county, so I'm pretty good.
Okay, I travel out there once a month, literally all over New Jersey. I got to know, why can't you make left turns in that state?
I mean,
It's the
can
most
you make any
inconvenient thing
turns?
ever.
Can you make any
That's-
turns? Like, I
that's
don't think there's
fair.
anything you could do in Jersey, like, like whatsoever. Like, it's just kind of like you just kind of go. You just go and you hope that you don't run into like those New Jersey drivers. You know what I'm saying? Or
Oh yeah.
dare I say those New Jersey people in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's definitely it's very difficult out here for sure.
Well, if you're trying to avoid those New Jersey people, quote unquote, you have to stay away from the gas station because unfortunately, the ones who pump your fuel are those New Jersey people.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. New Jersey and Oregon, for those listeners who don't know, are the only states where you still can't pump your own gasoline. So.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Yeah.
Hey, as a lazy man, I don't mind it. But like, just in general, it is a little weird. Just to, like go anywhere else, and they're like, "Yeah, what are you looking at me for? Do it yourself." And I'm like, "Wait, this is so weird. Why is this the only thing?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
it's only two places that this happens."
Hilarious. Okay, you brought up the trade deadline, so I want to ask you about that as somebody who covers the Padres. Walk us through the trade deadline. The height of the we're going to get Max Scherzer to the belly flop of we didn't get him.
Hype and belly flop is correct. I mean, I'd argue that the belly flop at least can be fun sometimes. This was more like I don't even know. You guys ever seen Crank?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the end of Crank when he just jumps out the airplane with no parachute.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, there's a 1 point there. It's like, oh, the one guy gets killed, but then now it's like, oh, we're just gonna fall to our doom, even though I don't know what that's a movie. Everybody go check that out if you're ever bored. Oh my God, Crank is awesome. Some things don't age well whatsoever, but like it's just oh my God, just
Most
in
things
terms
don't
of just
age
being yeah, most of it does not age well, but the idea of a guy who has to basically just nonstop be doing something is an incredible thing. Now, could be done better. Some insulting things in that movie for sure, but absolutely fanatics. But anyway, back on the Padres. Yeah, it was. I think that the way I view it is, I don't think the Padres deadline would have been considered as disappointing or as heartbreaking if it wasn't at first reported by the narc that is Ken Rosenthal. I actually got love for Ken Rosenthal, but just the fact that it comes out and some people are saying, well, he said it's close to a deal. You should not have gotten excited. It's like, right, because nobody's ever said close to a deal that ends up being right. It just happened to be that this is that one where it was just not totally entirely accurate. I imagine there might have been something true to that rumor. They were probably interested, but it never materialized. And the Padres are just kind of sitting there and we're just like, and what stinks is, in theory, the Padres shouldn't have been that desperate for a starting pitcher, at least in my opinion. I think you could take a flyer on some random back into the rotation guy, maybe. But you didn't need a Max Scherzer, in theory.
Yeah.
Shout out Fangraphs before the season started that had the Padres ranked as the top rotation of baseball. And now we're signing Jake Arrieta to deals. Jake Arrieta, famously trash. Not to be mean. Actually, I will be mean because Jake Arrieta is a little bit of a jerk. Just so that's fine. And he comes in, he's terrible against the Rockies, and now he's on the IL. So that just shows you where the Padres are at. If Snell had been good for most of the season, if Lamet stayed healthy, if Mackenzie Gore, formerly known as the top pitching prospect in baseball, didn't take all these step backs, people were just assuming he was going to debut this year. That didn't happen. We're hoping for next year. And you just combine all of that stuff together. Yu Darvish post sticky stuff. Crackdown has been really bad. Just came back off the IL, gave up 4 runs against the Dodgers or whatever. Blah, blah. So that wasn't great. And then Ryan Weathers, who was kind of this beginning breakout story for the Pods, even though he doesn't have that high ceiling, it was nice. He kind of improved his control in the offseason and also didn't lose the velocity. And then following that, after last year, I think that makes sense, after last year's postseason, then he does the same thing again, increases the velocity, but still kind of has the same level of control. But now everybody's just turning on him. And I don't know about what happened this past weekend, but I think before this past weekend, his ERA since July 30th is 14.26.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's see what happened in that series. We went to my boy went to both games. Fernando, he said and with the Angels. I mean, we'll talk about them in a little bit, but like they were flatter than a pancake on Saturday or on Friday, and then Saturday's game when they came up, they had when I was there was so many Padre fans there, and the talk going around and hearing the Padre fans, you would have thought they were in first place. Like they were very rambunctious, very excited. Like they had all their gear on, all the spinners, the chains.
Yeah.
On Friday, I had a Padre fan come up to me in the parking lot and be like, "Why do you shoot for the Angels? They're trash." And I'm just thinking in my head, like, that's how I know you weren't a hardcore Padre fan, because any hardcore Padre fan is not going to talk trash. Like, you clearly weren't there 3 years ago. You know what I mean? When
100%.
the Padres were not good.
Because here's what happened when Mayfield hit a 2-run homer, they went up 3-0. The Padres fans were loud until that point, and then when he hit that homer, because right before that there was a guy saying, "Why are you guys so excited? You're fourth place." So when Mayfield hit the homer, I'm all fourth place, because like it's like they were. I was like, dude, well, you guys are starting to talk for the first time like Dodger fans. Like we're starting to get.
Yeah,
you guys were nice to us before, and we were nice to you. What the hell's going on, dude? What do we do?
I have no beef with Angels. My only beef in life is Red Sox and the Dodgers. Like that's it.
I think Angels fans might agree with you, actually.
It's like it would be for me. It's those two teams, and then if there's an individual player that I could think of, like I mean, he's on the Dodgers now, but like I can't stand Joe Kelly. I don't like Madison Bumgarner, guys like that. I don't like Jake Arrieta, like guys like that. But for the most part, it's like I don't have. You don't want to do. I guess what's a good name for it? Like the Philly effect. So Philly fans
hate everybody.
They hate everybody. It doesn't matter if you're in their division. They hate everyone. They fight their own players, literally.
It doesn't matter I was going to say, it doesn't matter if you're on their team.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're on their team. Was it Mike Scott or whoever? I think before last year's NFL season, he wore like a Sean Taylor Washington football team jersey and was there. And then he got into like a fight with the Philly fans. I was like, guys, it's Sean Taylor. That's what he's doing. What are you doing? He plays on your team. So it's just like, you don't want to be a Philly fan. You don't want to be with those. And the other thing about the Philly fans, as soon as things go wrong, they're like, oh, like they become like the trash bag over their head, and they become melodramatic in a second. So you definitely don't want to be Philly fans. I'll say that about the Dodgers. They're not like a Philly fan type of fan base. They don't hate everybody, right? They just talk trash to everybody, but they don't hate everybody. They're just kind of snobby. They
hate each other too. I think they're trying so hard to be the Yankees fans, or try to be Yankees of the West, and they just aren't. And they've tried for so long, and we've gotten into several arguments about that. They're still butthurt, like even though they're supposedly the champs, we don't count last season because of COVID, but they are still so butthurt over the Astros. That's why they're
the Astros season, huh?
Yeah, Astros season, dude.
Look, I'm actually of the belief that I'm not saying I like the Astros. Let me be very clear. I always have to say this when I bring up this take, but like. I can't lie to you, an Astros Dodgers World Series would be tantalizing. Like that would be, I would be so invested in that. Like the drama that could unfold when Joe Kelly throws at Carlos Correa's head, and we all have to act like that's okay to do for some reason. That's fine. They cheated at baseball, try to break his skull. Joe Kelly, you're off. I hate that guy so much. But like, and don't get me wrong, I get it, but. I just think that would be incredible because also the plus side of that is if the Dodgers lost, the slander. Y'all thought the Clippers dropping to Denver 2 seasons ago was bad. Well, at least for baseball Twitter, it will be just a lightning rod of slander if they lost to the Astros. That would be that's actually their redemption arc if the Astros do win. Like that would be their redemption story, especially if they beat a team like. If they beat like the Yankees in the ALCS and then they beat the Dodgers, that would be like,
we'll see.
I don't know, guys. I think we gotta just stop. It doesn't matter anymore.
We'll see. As Angels
turn off the PlayStation.
Yeah. As Angels fan, before we get back into the topic, I just want to bring up the fact that the Atlanta Braves, when that run back through the late '80s and early 90s, they won like 13 straight division championships. They got that one World Series title. Some people said, "Oh man, you won all those titles, all those games. You only got one title." And the Dodgers are kind of in the midst of that run right now. But the fact is, they only did a 60 game. They couldn't do it in 162, and I think that's where everyone's giving them crap, and that's where they want to prove themselves. I think that's why the ownership is trying so hard to win this season, because they know potentially with the new salary cap going down to 180, you know what I mean? Like, and being a harder cap, they're up to 300 right now. They're going to have to gut that team, you know what I mean? Of all those huge contracts. So, you know, that's why we're all encouraging, like, man, I hope that another team like Milwaukee steps up and punches them, you know, like, and takes them out. You know, like as Angel fans, we don't want to see them succeed, especially where we're at. And obviously the Padres don't. So I just want to get that out of the way. But my question to you real quick, because you were bringing up the Padres pitching, you know, woes and stuff like that. Where do you think it's gone wrong with? Do you think it was Rothschild that deserved to get the axe for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, right? Like I tend to, whenever it comes to coach firings, on very rare occasions, I always view it as scapegoating. I view it as just, you got to blame something. Cause I think bottom line is players play. There's certainly blame to go for coaches and stuff. You can't act like they're none in control whatsoever, but I don't like the idea, this presumption that that's the reason Blake Snell became the worst pitcher in baseball. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just a little bit too much of a stretch for me, but that being said, his first start, Blake Snell, right after Larry Rothschild gets fired, he goes like 8 innings against the Dodgers, strikeout 13, and unfortunately gives up that home run to Will Smith, which I don't think was totally his fault. I think Will Smith is really good, and it was just a good hit by him, especially because he took it out of the park. Jesus, but he looked really good. He looked like OG Blake Snell. I don't know why they kept him in the game, which is a whole nother thing. Speaking of people that are getting fired, Jace Tingler might be one of those. I can't get a good feel for it, but
really
I don't know.
So? Wow.
It's kind of it really is an amalgamation of sadness for the Padres in the rotation, right? So with Darvish, you could point to sticky stuff and just how, look at his ERA, it was like a 2 point whatever. He's an all-star, all this stuff. And then ever since the RPMs and stuff is going down, he's not terrible, but it's just all the earned runs that he's allowing. He allows a lot more big hits than he used to. So he's not looking good. And then with like I mentioned with Lamet and Weathers is just bad and probably was a guy that they should have sold on. He's still young though. He's still young. But he's probably a guy that we should have realized was going to regress, even if not to this extreme extent. Lamet can't stay healthy. Lamet has that slider and I believe his injury to like his, what was it? Like his hip was the recent thing he had. People said that like he relies a lot on that when it comes to throwing his slider. So that's probably why he's been out for such an extended period of time. So that's really hurting. The hope that you have to have with the Padres is that also it's not just the pitching, man. Like if I'm not mistaken, I mean, I imagine everybody understands like WRC plus, like the Padres have a lot of guys below 100 right now in that category, excluding Tatis since July 30th. I believe Tommy Pham has a 45. Adam Frazier has like a 56. Trent Grisham, oh no, Grisham has been okay, but it's just like Will Byers somehow has the highest WRC plus since like July 30th, which isn't great. It's just, but that shows you like how much their offense has been bad. And check out this. Just, I know I'm being nerdy right now. Sorry, I don't know why I
you're good.
don't do this, but like with runners in scoring position this year, Tommy Pham has a WRC plus of 27.
Damn.
Which ranks the worst among all qualified batters in baseball.
And he had a
what the hell?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, he had 2 months where he was like a top 15 outfielder just because hit for okay average, which is whatever. But most importantly, the guy had like a 400 on base for like 2 months.
Yeah.
He does not swing at anything outside the zone whatsoever, which is still the positive of him. But considering that he's not necessarily giving you Joey Gallo level defense or anything, when he's not hitting, I mean, it's bad. And that runners in scoring position, I knew he hadn't been that great. I swore that I've only seen him hit like 1 RBI this year. And I say that as someone who watches the Padres every day. I swear I've only seen it once. I don't know. This is obviously not true. He's got like 50 or whatever it is, but I've only seen it once. So, you know, take that with what you will, but he's just, oh my God, man. Like, I don't know what happens, right? Like, I don't know. There's a difference between guys going from superhuman level to just being like average, okay players versus being bottom of the league. Like Trent Grisham, what happened? Tommy Pham, what happened? Adam Frazier, the fraud known as Adam Frazier, who apparently took hitting tips from Eric Hosmer and decided to hit everything on the ground now. Seriously, go look up his ground ball rate ever since he got to the Padres. It's skyrocketing.
Wasn't he one of the best hitters in baseball at the trade when he came over?
He was, in fact, thank you for bringing that up, Fernando. He led the National League in hits, and now he's losing starts to Jurickson Profar and Hassan Kim. Not to insult those guys, but let's just say they haven't had great seasons. And in this Angels series, he sat out for the 3rd game in a row. That doesn't sound exactly like this guy who was supposed to be the big acquisition for the team. I mean, he was based on just what they ended up doing, Daniel Hudson being the other one. And he's just been a disaster. Some people have been telling me, dude, you should have, we knew he was due for regression. It's like, okay, yeah, I didn't think he was going to hit 340 for the rest of the year, but you're telling me he's worse than like Clint Frazier, that he's worse than like Isan Diaz of the Marlins? Like, that's what you're telling me he is? Like, that's a little bit much for me. So it's still a little bit of a surprise, and it's nightmarish. And in fairness, one thing I do agree with the fans on in this respect is I didn't think they needed a guy like Frazier with his skill set. I thought they needed like a little bit more slugging. Like, obviously they missed out on Joey Gallo, but that would have been the perfect match. But for me, guys like Robbie Grossman, who I think is very underrated over in Detroit, would have been a nice get for them, but that didn't happen. And here we are losing games to you split the double series against the Angels.
He said it.
Well,
it was too late.
We were surprised. I took a picture and posted to our page. I'm like, wow, we have 10 runs. I was not expecting this.
Yeah, it's like, I was like, yep, you're giving up 10 runs to the Angels. Okay, whatever, it's fine. But most importantly,
you can barely score two.
Can we talk about, actually, no, I don't want to talk about it. We got no hit by Tyler Gilbert at his first ever major league start. That was awesome. By the way, he plays for the Diamondbacks, the worst team in baseball. You get swept by Colorado. You lose 3 out of 4 against Arizona. And we play Arizona actually soon. And the fact that I can't tell you confidently that we'll win those games, or at least the series, just speaks volumes to where the Pods are right now. It's not looking good. And what the worst part about it all is, like, it's not like they couldn't get the wild card. They're only like 2 games out right now. Like, they still can. But, there's that Ted Lasso episode, The Hope That Kills You. That might be what's going on with the Padres and their fans right now, where it's just like everybody's just so, they don't want to, they feel dejected. And that's what this team has done. Tatis looks miserable in the outfield. Yeah. Like, he just looks sad. I don't know if that's just because the team's playing bad or if it's him in the outfield. I don't know. I can't read minds or anything.
It's because the little kid threw a baseball at him yesterday. Really? There's a little kid in like the first couple rows who threw a baseball at Tatis in the middle of the game. Was like, "Can you sign this?"
Okay. I mean, I get it if it was a little kid being like, be like a dumb little kid as little kids are. I thought you meant like it was that like Alex Verdugo at Yankee Stadium, just getting stuff thrown at him. I was like, who dares touch my guy? Like, you'll be hearing from me. But yeah, I mean, he's just so sad, man. Like, it's sadness. I don't know what's going on with the team. I don't know why. Every time, right? They win on Friday, then they lose by 8 runs on Saturday. Trent Grisham, he hits that 3-run game tying home run a couple weeks ago. Then Daniel Hudson blows it first batter to Colorado, of course. Every time you feel like they might return to not even slam Diego, but just do anything Diego. I can't come up with a good synonym or whatever at the moment, but they're just not performing well, and I don't really see it getting better. The only thing that you could say is just the theory of positive regression, where they've been so bad that since this is baseball, not football, that they might just be due to win 10 games at some point. I guess that's all I can hope for.
Well, there you go. See, Angels fans, we brought Javier Reyes on. So you guys know that we're not the only franchise here or podcast hosts that are going through this. I mean, I don't think it's going to take a genius for you to know, Javi, that this is just how it is with us Angels fans. We're talking about a team that he's been playing flat lately, a team that hasn't had good pitching lately. From an outsider looking in, I want to ask you, what do you think's going on with the Angels from maybe your perspective?
From my perspective, I mean, it's a team that certainly tries. I'll give them that. Like, it doesn't seem like they've got ownership like Oakland, where they're like, Marcus Semien, I don't want to pay you $11 million for 1 year. In fact, I'll prorate it over 10 years. It's like, yeah, that's ownership problems where they're just being super cheap. Like, ownership does come in and be like, all right, Anthony Rendon, come on in. They bring Shohei, who's a god, obviously. They've signed Mike Trout to the long deal. You bring in Justin Upton. And I know that some of those deals haven't worked out, but there's at least like a willingness to try, which I guess is a positive sign. But they've just been this top-heavy team for so long, aside from that 1 year that they made the playoffs with Trout. I forgot when that even was.
2014.
2014, yeah. And that was like the one good Pujols year that I remember too. And again, another contract like with our Pujols. And it's like, there's certainly a sense of trying, but it's just been a top heavy team for as long as I can remember, to be honest with you. It's always that you have Trout, Ohtani, Rendon, but then it's like they don't have their Cronenworth. They don't have their, I mean, I've been having fun watching him lately. Nestor Cortez. They don't have these like random developed players that can come out and be productive, even if it isn't for like an extensive period of time. They just don't have a team. They just have like an NBA team where it's like, we have the 3 stars. Who gives a crap? What else is the team, right? Instead, they're just this team that is perpetually linked to baseball discourse as being the team we're all rooting for because we want to see Trout in the playoffs. This year, we want to see Ohtani in the playoffs, but they just don't have everything else. Rendon goes down with an injury. He was probably playing hurt the whole year. It's just, it's sad. It's one of those teams where I think general baseball fans are rooting for. Seriously, even teams in the division, heck, might be rooting for the Angels just to be like, they have all-time greats on their team. We just want to see what it looks like for them to do well. And from my perspective, I don't know how they fix that. I don't know if it's an ownership thing. I don't know if it's management related things. Maybe
it's this guy.
It's this guy. Maybe it's that you the ownership is willing to pay, but also it's like, well, does ownership hire the right people? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's another part. Just go ask the New York Knicks. You know what I mean? They'll spend money every now and then, the Knicks, but it's not a coincidence that there's been this one guy, I think, that's owned the team for 20, 30 years or whatever it is now. And they just always have these bad GMs and bad decisions to be made. At some point, it becomes an ownership thing. And I think that's what's happening with the Angels.
Yeah, you're absolutely hit it on the nail because like Artie behind me, he's hired the worst guys as far as GMs. He's cut scouting. Up until this year is the first year they went out and drafted pitchers, got serious. Fernando knows about all the players that are coming through the pipeline that'll fill those roles that you were talking about as far as players that make the benches, like your Cronenworths and things like that. Because I think that's the thing. You could go back to the Padres and say, well, hell, they've had a great farm system for the last 3-4 years or more, and then they've been able to fill in the gaps with good signings and pickups. So that's what was perplexing to us as Angels fans. I know as Padres fan like yourself this year is the fact that, we can kind of like look and see, okay, well, this is why we don't have chemistry. The training staff sucks because we have so many injuries. This and that. The pitching wasn't good because we signed 1-year deals. Looking at the Padres, me and Fernando were saying all year, like, damn, we love their team chemistry. We love how they celebrate. We love their little, the fans are into it. It looks like this team is rock solid. But we can't point to one thing. Like, I know you were trying to say, some of the things with the pitching and stuff like that, but like Eric Hosmer, dude, that dude, like, I know you guys went from like, oh, he was so good to now we got to trade him and we can't get rid of him because of his contract. And because you need a power hitting first baseman, especially in that division. And he's not giving you anything. And like you brought up Frazier, I didn't realize he was hitting so many damn ground balls. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just, I don't know where to go. I mean, that's why we brought you on. We're like, dude, we're so perplexed looking because we could find our warts on our team. But it seems like you're like the same way. Like, damn, what's going on?
It's just like, and with the Frazier thing, it's funny because it's like my mom heard about this too. And she was like, well, he's an idiot. Why was he listening to Eric Hosmer? And I'm like, you're not wrong. That's kind of a thing. Because there's like this video circulating of when Hosmer was like taking batting practice and like with Adam Frazier. And everyone's like, he should be sent to jail, Eric Hosmer, for what he did to Adam Frazier.
Should be like assisted murder of a career.
Exactly. And I mean, the one thing I will say, not to be full negative, I guess, on this year pod that you guys were so gracious enough to invite me to, I would say there's still some flexibility. The good news about the Padres not making those huge moves at the deadline, they still have assets, right? So they still got Mackenzie Gore, who I mentioned earlier. They still got Luis Campusano, CJ Abrams, who's out right now with a big injury, but he's probably going to be a top 5 prospect. If he isn't already, I think he already is. He's probably going to be one of the top ones since a lot of those other guys at the top, like Baltimore's Adley Rutschman, like are probably going to get called up. So that's a guy that could be playing second base or somewhere in the infield next year. And even if you don't like him as a prospect, whatever, bottom line is he's an asset. And the same thing goes with guys like Robert Hassel. And then you have Mike Clevenger coming back next year. Yep. Myers' contract comes off the books after the end of next year, which is funny because he hasn't even been the worst player. He's just slightly above average, right fielder, basically. So there's definitely some things to be excited about. You still have El Nino. You still have Trent Grisham, which was a robbery of a trade for the most part. Although I think, was it Luis Urias that they gave up, who's actually been doing a little bit of something, I think, over in Milwaukee. But anyway, bottom line is Grisham's very good, and he hasn't taken that next step that I want him to take next year, but he's still young. He can get better with the bat, and he's still like a Gold Glove kind of caliber outfielder. I know he hasn't been literally Gold Glove caliber this year, but he's still up there with a defensive run saved. Like, he's still very good. If you're not the best in the league, that doesn't mean you're bad now. Just for everybody who's complaining about Grisham's defense. So you still have that to look forward to. Tommy Pham won't be on the team next year, which means there's probably going to be some sort of replacement. I don't know what they'll do, and also, like, Preller's the one who got us here in the first place. Let's not turn on him totally. It's not his fault Blake Snell couldn't pitch at all coming to San Diego. Maybe he'll have a bounce back season next year. There's still hope, right? This isn't a team totally like devoid of any hope. They still have really good players. They've got a decent enough farm system. It's a lot more top heavy than it used to be. They don't have like those back end sort of moving chips that you can just give away and bulk packages to get somebody. But you still got some players, man, and you still got some major league talent. And Cronenworth is like a top level asset in the league because he's not getting paid anything. He can play every position. He's got good defense. OPS over 800. Like, he's a really, really good player, especially he's basically this team's Ben Zobrist. He's basically the Padres version of Ben Zobrist in almost every way. He's very, very good. And he gets pumped too, man. I love watching that guy play. When he had the game tying home run against Philly a couple weeks ago, like, he was pumped. So like, he's really fun to watch.
Jankowski almost robbed it, right?
Yeah, when he almost got it. Yeah, that was the nuts part for sure.
I will say, if Jankowski would have made that catch, that would have been one of the best catches of all time. He just missed it.
He did just miss it. And me watching it, I was like, he's going to catch this, isn't he? He's going to catch this. And instead, a similar catch happens, I guess, in terms of just a depressing catch with the Dodgers series. So I guess it came right back around eventually. You know what I mean? I was like, I knew the happiness couldn't be there for long. So in fairness, there is a little bit of hope with the Padres and their system. Preller's the one that got us Cronenworth in the first place. He's the one that got you Tatis. He's the one that got you Joe Musgrove for basically nothing. He brought in you Darvish, who hasn't been working out lately, but even still, there is stuff to look forward to. And unlike previous Padres years, they're clearly ready to spend money now. They are no longer the Padres of old. They have new ownership group that I like, but have some issues with, especially in regards to some of the minor league stuff. But they've been certainly spending money. You cannot fault them for that. The hope, though, is that they don't go all in and just spend on 30-year-olds and signing guys to too many long deals. You got to have a little bit of a mixture. That way you can compete with the Super Dodgers.
Exactly.
And the Giants, too, for that matter. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't know how long the Giants' run will go, but definitely they made, I think, the biggest free agent splashes in the offseason to get where they're at. Just the right moves, the right time. But, I think the Padres right now are in a position just 2 games out, like you mentioned, against the Cincinnati Reds. For us, we would love to be only 2 games out because, like, we were saying, like, 6, 7 games out, like, hey, man, let's just take one game at a time. We got to creep into it, not scoreboard watch. You guys, it's now approaching September, about good full 30 games or so, a little bit more over. You guys got to do some scoreboard watching because obviously Cincinnati's not in your division. You can't control what they do. I don't know if you guys already played them twice or got them out of the way in the Central. Yeah, you already have. So so right now they control their own destiny, and you guys just got to play your games one after another. And a team like the Dodgers are going to be right there trying to keep you out. But
yeah, absolutely.
I would love for you guys to make the playoffs. Believe me, I think as Angel fans, me and Fernando are pulling for you guys because we want to see the Padres go in there, and if they could be the team to do the damage against the Dodgers, I'm all for it, man.
Let me say, the Padres' schedule for September looks rough.
Oh, yeah.
They have the Astros, the Angels, the Dodgers, the Giants, the Cardinals, the Giants, the Braves, and ending with the Dodgers.
Oh.
That's about as hard as it comes.
And then in October, just in case. Oh, do we at least get one final OKC? Oh no, it's 3 games against San Fran at the very end of the year. So that I think also, which we didn't talk about, is one of the reasons it's been so depressing because we knew we had a tough schedule post All-Star break, but it started off easy. You have Miami, you have Arizona, then Colorado, then Arizona or Colorado twice, whatever it was, and instead you are completely helpless against those teams, including the no-hitter. And now you have the tough teams after Arizona, like Fred just mentioned. It's tough, man. Like even the Braves have really vaulted themselves into being a contender. I mean, they lead that division right now. And then you got Houston, who we kind of own over the last year, which is kind of nice, but even still, like, this team isn't beating anybody. So I can't, like I said, no numbers to it, no actual hardcore analysis. It's just if the theory of you've been so bad that at some point the talent level just has to rebound to some degree, I don't know what degree, Maybe that's what'll happen. Maybe they'll randomly beat the Giants. They have 2 more series against them. I think they'll win, 4 out of the 6 games or something like that, right? Like that'll happen, and maybe it helps them. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not looking good for the Padres, and it's sad to admit because even when things weren't going great for them, everyone was like, "All right, they'll still get the wild card." Now that's in question.
Well, if you had to boil it down to one singular thing at this moment, what do you think it is? Is it the starting? Is it the injuries in general to your starting rotation?
I'd say if I had to do just one, I would say the rotation. There's been too many bullpen games. And don't get me wrong, they're well equipped if they have to do that every now and then. They have one of the best bullpens in baseball, but now they're gassed. I really think I can't emphasize enough. Like the Ryan Weathers, I know he's young, he's a rookie, but like pre-July 30th, his ERA was like 2.7. Now it's 5.5. You know how hard that is? Like that's actually kind of hard to do. Even Darvish's ERA is still like at around like 3.6 or something like that, right? Like it's very, very hard for you to regress that dramatically. That's the problem with the Padres. They don't have guys that have regressed to being average. They have guys that have been regressed to being genuinely some of the worst players in the game. That's the issue. I don't mind if Adam Frazier becomes an average player, a Tyler Wade of the Yankees. Like I said, I've been watching them a lot lately, so that's a good example. Like an average dude. You're not an all-star anymore? Okay, but you're an average player. We have the superstars. We have Tatis and Machado. It's okay if you're not going to be a superstar. But instead, it's either you're up here or absolutely in the toilet. And the problem is the guys up here, they're not even right there anymore. They're also in the toilet too. So it's just kind of hoping that these guys light a fire, do something. And
have they had a team meeting at all that you know of, like where it's the players only?
Yeah, they reportedly after they got no hit, Eric Hosmer came in, and I don't know if you guys know the like the hamburger meme, not the hamburger, the hot dog guy, where it's like we're all trying to figure out the guy who did this. Oh, that was Eric Hosmer giving a conference. Basically, it's like we don't know who's the fault here, guys. I don't know who it could be. You know what I mean? But we got to find them. And the funniest part is Hosmer hasn't even been the worst like batter on the team as of late, which is, he's the worst value for sure, and he's like the biggest problem. But in terms of just in a vacuum, he hasn't been as bad. But even still, it's like we're all trying to figure out what has gone wrong. And it's like it's you, dude. And apparently, you doomed Adam Frazier to oblivion. So there's that.
Like a Space Jam situation, except like neither of them gained like more talent.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Thunderstruck Space Jam. It's just they both touch the baseball and nothing happens. They both just are bad now.
I forgot about Thunderstruck. Space Jam, same movie.
Yeah, Thunderstruck is in Like Mike is the other one, by the way. Like Mike is the other one. I love Like Mike. Like Mike rules. Thunderstruck, let me just say, my man Durant can't act. I'm sorry. I love you, KD. But maybe today's KD, maybe he picks up a couple things. But Durant and Thunderstruck, real bad acting, let me tell you. I still haven't seen Space Jam 2.
Can't act.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Space Jam 2 yet. I've been waiting to just get blitz with my friends and watch it, but we never got to. So I really want to do that again.
You're looking to watch some bad acting? Because look, I had someone tell me, "Hey man, you were too hard on Space Jam 2," because I wrote something about it. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, because they were like, well, it wasn't like an Oscar performance by Michael Jordan back in the day either. It wasn't meant to be like a serious movie. It's like, yeah, I know, but like, it's sort of like, he couldn't do his own spin. You know what I mean? Like it just seemed to try to copy too much, and it was kind of really bad. So
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I love watching bad movies. So
if you love it, then it's right up your alley, bro. It's right up your alley.
I can't wait. I'm very excited for when I finally sit down with my friend and catch Space Jam 2. But that's basketball, right? And we need like a dumb baseball movie. We're due. We're due for a dumb baseball movie, I think. Yeah.
We have the Air Bud movies.
So the last one was like, we had 42, Moneyball. What was the last baseball movie? Is there one I'm forgetting? I don't remember what the last baseball movie was. I think we're due for a baseball movie. Was that the last baseball movie?
I feel like it might have been, because I think that was definitely after 42. I'm pretty sure after Moneyball.
Well, I know they made a bunch of movies in the 90s, which is great, but they kind of tailed off. I mean, you had The Angels in the Outfield, which was a terrible, terrible movie.
Hey, I like that movie.
And part 2, I didn't even know there was a part 2 until recently. So that was.
There's also a part 3, which is Halos in the End Zone. Don't watch that one.
Oh, and there's also, if you ever watched, Major League 3? That is a terrible baseball movie. You guys ever caught that one? That one's
I
bad.
never caught the sequels. I only saw Major League for the first time like last year, 2020, and really enjoyed it. Even if, again, another movie that has some stuff that doesn't age well, but like it was really fun. Charlie Sheen, shouts to a famously normal guy. Like he was good in that too. But otherwise, yeah, we're due for a baseball movie. I think we are. We need to write this, man. What are you guys doing? Come on, write Angels in the Outfield too. Come on, let's do it.
There you go. There you go. Well, they would have made Angels in the Outfield too, except it's called Angels in the Infield.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, that's what when I told him when he was like, "We're going to name our podcast Halos in the Infield." I'm like, "Is that too close to Angels in the Infield?"
Nah, man. Hey, that's how it's done these days. You just kind of have a rip off of some name. Not rip off is a strong term, but like you just kind of have a little wordplay. Everyone loves a good pun and a little good reference.
Yeah, we were trying to keep it in the same ballpark. No pun intended, but
oh, boo!
Dad joke.
All right.
But
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You got it.
Okay, I was gonna say. So a couple questions before we end it. So as far as the rotation next year for the Padres, how much do you see it changing? Who do you think will be out? Who do you think will be in next year? Just because you say that's probably your biggest fault at the moment.
Yeah, it's probably still going to be Darvish, Musgrove, Snell. And then the question is, when does Mike Clevenger come back? How ready is he or whatever? And then that's the weird part is that fifth spot, right? It's basically, so it's Paddock, Ryan Weathers, Mackenzie Gore, Dinelson Lamet, and then someone else that I am blanking on right now. Who am I blanking on? Did I say Chris Paddock?
You said Chris Paddock, you said Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah, like it's gonna kind of be a mishmash of them, right? Like they might even start to consider using Lamet in the bullpen. We don't know. Like there's a lot of questions with that rotation right now. A rotation that looked like it was gonna be invincible, basically, but I don't know. There's no early indicator on it. I think that a lot is going to depend too on how Gore progresses. I would not expect him to be on the opening day rotation. I think he's like a second half call up for sure. But like in terms of the rest of those guys, like Paddock isn't exactly earning his way back right now. You know what I'm saying? Like he also, even before pre-injury, had been a little bit better than 2020, but still a lot of the same issues, especially with the fastball, not really connecting as much, even if he did start adding the curveball more, but there's still potential there. So I don't know. It's going to be one of those things where spring training might really matter, like in deciding that last rotation spot, especially if Lamet isn't healthy.
You guys have a lot of log jams. Like Infield is one of the biggest log jams in baseball. I mean, you have a lot of guys who are, potential all-stars. You have a lot of guys who are still young and controllable. Well, I guess Kim isn't controllable. Well, he's controllable, but he's costly, I should say.
Yeah.
Frazier obviously was a great player with the Pirates. You guys are hoping he returns to form. Cronenworth is underrated in baseball circles, criminally, just like David Fletcher. Those are two guys who need to get more attention. Mm-hmm. I don't know how familiar you are with David Fletcher, but
yeah, he's solid, bread and butter type of guy.
Yeah. People need to put some respect on his name. Obviously you have Tatis, who's a question mark in the sense of, is he an infielder? Is he an outfielder? What do you think is going to happen with Tatis?
I think that it's going to depend, because I think a lot of this is also them trying to make sure he doesn't put as much strain on his shoulder, potentially, and just keep him from getting injured. So I think in theory, if he wasn't injured, he'd still be doing shortstop, but they're going to give him the surgery in the off season. It's just he would have had it right now if they were completely out of it, but they aren't. They still are, believe it or not, despite all the stuff we've been talking about, in contention. So you have to hope that they remain in contention and all that, and then he gets the surgery, and then he'll be back at some point next year. I don't know when exact. I don't know the timetable it would be. But if he doesn't, if they keep him in the outfield, then that would probably be what makes way for CJ Abrams or one of the 87 infielders they have. So it's not just that Tatis has been bad defensively at shortstop. It's also that it might just be in their best interest to keep him healthy, and the fact that you might just need to put him there. So I don't know if CJ Abrams is going to be playing outfield. He really hasn't in the minors all that much. They worked him out a couple times, but otherwise he's a second base shortstop guy. So maybe you move Cronenworth over to first. Like I said, you're right though. Like a lot of log jams in this lineup. I wish that they could just shoot Hosmer to the moon and just be done with it, and give him supplies and all that. He can watch the team, have his popcorn and everything, but otherwise just don't play for us. That would be great.
Hosmer to the Dodgers confirmed.
There. Hosmer to the Dodgers confirmed. If you get rid of him somehow,
That would be nice, but otherwise, there's a lot of questions. It's going to be one of those teams to follow in the offseason for sure, for a variety of reasons. Maybe they make a splash in free agency. I don't see that as much. I feel like they tried their darndest in the offseason beforehand, but we'll have to see what they do, I guess, man.
Well, I think they're a much more attractable place to go now with Machado and all the other guys, Tatis and everything else like that. My last question, though, is not on the field related. As far as you're a fan of the Padres, obviously, you like their new selection of jerseys, or are you a fan of a prior jersey style that they had in the past?
They have so
that
many.
like the OG, like that blue one with a little bit of orange on around the lettering of the Padres is solid. That's classic.
The Tony Gwynn pinstripe, right?
The Tony Gwynn
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
yeah.
The 2000s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That one's not too shabby, but I love the uniforms they have right now. Someone disrespectfully said it was like pee and poo was the thing. And I'm like, oh my God. I was just like, all right, dude, with your red, white, and blue. Yeah, I've never seen that before as a uniform color scheme. So miss me with that shit. And sorry, I don't know if I could curse.
No, you can't.
You can.
Okay.
You can.
Oh, lovely. Okay. Like
We tell them the last 2 minutes.
And then it's like
Yeah.
the Padres, like they have the Navy uniform, which I get because it's like a San Diego's more of a, like I get that version of it. I don't particularly like them, but and for the record, I don't like any of the kind of military uniforms. I just like whatever. It's never done anything for me. What can I say? The camo and all that.
I'm
Right?
with
Like
you.
I like it on my Call of Duty guns. I will say that though.
There you go.
It looks,
There you go.
especially like the blue. I do like the blue camo. I think I
The
kind of like the
Navy
blue
camo they
one.
have?
Yeah, that one's not
Okay.
too bad to me. I do like that one, but
So you don't like the desert camo, but you do like the
yeah,
Navy
I kind of
camo.
like I
Okay.
kind of like the Navy one. And then speaking of Navy, I thought that their uniforms that they wore in 2019, of those just solid Navy and all that, I was like, bro, it's like you were the MCU of uniforms. You're like, how could we make this as dull as possible? No, I'm kidding. I actually love the MCU. It's just like, how can we make sure that we just do the general of what's expected, right? Like, let's not be unique, even if it's a swing and a miss. Guess what? I'm going to say it. I like the Bumblebee uniforms that the Steelers have. It's different. I don't care. It changes things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And for me,
Guys getting
with
crazy.
the Padres, it's like, I like that they went back to this. I think it's really good. I thought the Navy uniforms, it's not like they're awful. It's just like, this is so generic. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? And they changed them. And then in 2020, Slam Diego Padres are born. So coincidence? I think not. But then they're bad this year. So I can't really take credit for that.
I do like the new ones because it gives an homage to the old school, from the late 80s, early 80s style. And then it also gives a new feel. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
I want my Angels to go back to like the California Angels. I love those uniforms. The Carew I was wearing last night, Todd. Those are the ones I want to see back.
Yeah.
So I grew up in San Diego. I lived there for 20 years. So my dad's a big Padres fan. So I grew up going to a lot of Padres games. I was an Angels fan. But I got to say that my favorite Padre jersey was the sand color of 2004, like when the Petco Park early days. Those were my favorite jerseys.
Solid. Those are pretty solid too. My thing is basically anti the Navy. There's too many teams in general that have that look. It's just
The Navy logos.
Like it's just, and they're not bad. It's just let's be different. Heck, we're pink. I don't give a damn. Like it's a 162 game season. Like anything that makes it kind of look different to me is like refreshing, and at least it's something to talk about. Even if it's making fun of it, at least it gives us something to talk about.
Absolutely.
All right, closing question I have is for all of us. This is going to be fun because I was talking to my friend about this yesterday. He's a big Padres fan. I went with him to the game. Shout out to Thomas. He watches. All right. If the Padres and Angels were to combine their best players into one team, is that the team to beat in Major League Baseball? So what we had in mind was him and I decided that catcher would probably be Max Stassi. First base would probably be Jared Walsh.
Please,
Second
yes.
base would be Cronenworth. Shortstop would be Tatis. Third base, that's going to be a tough one.
That's a fun
between
one.
Rendon and Machado. Who are you guys taking between a healthy Rendon and Machado?
Ooh. Because so there's two things to this. I think when Rendon is at his best, he's a better hitter. For sure. That's why he got that big contract in the first place. But he hasn't had as many seasons of being great as Manny Machado. And also just in terms of the health because I do factor that into players. Machado has played the most games possible of any player in Major League Baseball since 2015. So I give a slight edge to Manny, but it's not enough. It's not enough for me to like have that as my take. Rendon's really, really good. And as of right now, though, I'm going to say he had the really great stretch with the Nationals towards the end, but he's also had some years where he was for the Nationals. Machado's basically only had 1 year that wasn't great back when he was with Baltimore, and a lot of that was fueled by bad luck, by the way. His BABIP was like 120 in the first half of 1 year. It's like, what the hell is this? So that wasn't really great, but I think I give a little bit of an edge to Machado, but it's close. It's really close.
Okay.
Who are you going to say, Todd? If you have to pick between a healthy Rendon, let's just imagine, it's the Rendon that was the National, because we haven't seen a good Rendon on the Angels for a full season.
I would take Machado again. I would take Machado for several reasons. Not just the way he hits. Not too crazy about his hustle, but not too crazy about Rendon.
Stop it.
but I will.
He's not Johnny Hustle. He's not Johnny Hustle.
It's such a myth. It's a myth. I just said he plays every game.
But I will say he does do something that I like that some people don't like, and that is he's very feisty. He'll stick up for his players. He'll start a fight. And we haven't seen a fight with the Angels in a long time, so I'll bring that on if that's part of my team. I'll take that.
Makes them exciting, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll take that.
Hey, a couple of years ago, we had a benches clearing brawl where somebody that Albert Pujols waddled on over. Remember, he waddled on over to like home plate.
Oh yeah. But that wasn't a real fight. We need a real fight. Machado can bring it. He'll throw a bat, dude. That's all.
We need like a Carlos Quinn against the Dodgers, Zach Greinke kind of fight. When Carlos Quinn full on, you remember that, Todd?
Yeah.
He like ran into Zach Greinke full speed and took out. I think broke his collarbone.
Yeah. That was exciting.
Quinn was a big guy.
Yeah.
I remember Carlos Quinn. Okay, so third base, we're gonna go with Manny then. Outfield. So I think one of those spots has to go to Trout.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about the other two outfielders? So who are we putting in the corner between? We got to field a team.
Yeah, I mean, I would just take Grisham. I feel like who am I missing from the Angels right now?
So right now it's just Joe Adele. Yeah, Justin Upton, Joe Adele, Brandon Bunch.
I think our guys are too young to fill in the right and left field spots. I think it would go to the Padres for sure.
But I mean, okay, so I might give Trent Grisham a spot. Actually, I think I agree with that.
I would go Grisham.
But who's the other guy? I mean, are we going to go with Will Myers? I love Will Myers. I'm a big Will Myers guy.
I think Will Myers right now in his career is ahead of who we got. I think
he's definitely ahead of Justin Upton.
If it was just a now team, I think you take Myers. If it's anything else, I'm taking the shot on Adele or Brandon Marsh for sure.
Yeah. I agree. I think they're still a couple years away from getting to where Myers is at. But yeah, Grisham and Myers in the outfield with Trout would be awesome. That'd be a difficult team to beat. I would throw some of our starters in the bullpen for the Padres and have most of their starters out there. Besides Ohtani and Sandoval, and then maybe to fit in the back end of the rotation. That's what I would do.
Yeah, because I mean, as far as our bullpen, we would basically have to take the entire Padres bullpen, with the exception of Raisel Iglesias, of course. Now, who are you going to put a closer? Might be a situation, but I mean, you can't go wrong.
I like Iglesias more. I think he can miss more bats. I still like Melanson.
He does.
If we could get two relievers, I mean, if we still had a healthy Drew Pomeranz, that might be my like setup man. I think between the two teams, but I like Raisel Iglesias a little bit more. I think he can wipe out guys. I know he can be susceptible to that big hit, but so can Mark Melanson. He's a bit older too. Yeah, just a little bit past his prime. I think. Give me Raisel Iglesias. I like that guy.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, and then for starters, we're going Darvish.
Yes, please.
Ohtani.
Yes.
Lamet when he's healthy.
Okay, or Musgrove, I think would be the second.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Musgrove. We have to take Patrick Sandoval. He's been great this year for the Angels. And then that fifth one, we're still in a situation where it's probably up in the air.
Yeah, pretty much.
A lot of guys to pick from. We'll have to work that out in spring training.
There you go.
But hey, well, we know it's late over there in New Jersey, man, and we really appreciate your time, Javier. So
hey, it was fun, man. This was an all-encompassing chat. You know what I mean? And you got to keep a happy face every once in a while. Us fans of these teams that are so sad, I guess. You know what I mean? A lot of times, but you got to keep the faith.
Yeah, I think best of luck to the Padres. I think there's a very good chance it could catch them. Hopefully, you guys get hot like the Braves did. Because the Braves came out of nowhere. Everyone thought they were done with Acuna. So maybe you guys had your rough stretch, and maybe September's your month. Who knows?
Could be. Absolutely could be. Can definitely. This is a sport. I guess my final take of the pod is just like, I think baseball's frustrating because people watch the NBA, they watch football, they watch soccer, they watch the NHL, where like baseball's not designed for you to have an opinion on a team for it could be 2 weeks. And you probably still shouldn't have a take on the team because, hey, remember when the Phillies, everyone got excited about them for 2 weeks? Like, remember that? That was fun. That was adorable. That was so adorable. It was like, oh, look at the Phillies. Oh, it was so the sillies. And then everyone pencil in the Padres. If people watched just the Dodgers series, the twos that started the year with the Padres and Phillies, they're in. Like these two teams, it's going to be awesome. NLCS. You just can't have those types of takes in baseball. I think you could have them on individual players. You could, but it's a fool's game to have takes on such a long season that ebbs and flows so much.
Mm-hmm.
Where can our fans listen to you if they want to check out some Padres or check you out on Twitter or whatever?
Yeah, sure. So you can follow the Twitter page for Locked On Padres, which is at @LO_Padres. Lots of good memes on there. If I do say so myself. There's also, I'm going to be co-hosting the IBWAA podcast starting soon, which is the Internet Baseball Writers Association. I'm going to be co-hosting that with some two cool folks. That should be a lot of fun, just talking general baseball storylines, interviewing different members of the org, and just talking about all sorts of stuff, really. I think it should be a lot of fun with that sort of network that they've got over there. And then you could follow me on Twitter if you'd like, the idiot, at Javipeno. That's JAVIIPENO. I have like a header of One Piece in the background. That's my guy. And I do some writing on pop culture and stuff too, and whatnot. And Just Baseball, great website that I work for. I'm a staff writer for, that just kind of launched. So that's really fun. But yeah, if you want memes and dumb jokes about movies, then go ahead, check me out there.
All right. Sounds good.
Our listeners love memes.
Yes. Yes, they do.
I mean, who doesn't? It's just, you need it. It's a good pick me up. It's a good pick me up. You just need it.
Agreed.
All right, so that's the show for today. This is Todd Fox along with
Fernando Mendez.
And thanks again, Javier. Any final wishes or shout outs to anybody before we get out of here?
Final wishes, final shout outs. Hey, everybody, stop complaining about Ted Lasso. Shut the hell up. It's a fine show. Just because it's not as good as season 1. Relax. God forbid we have a show that just gives you some good vibes, even if it's a little overly sentimental. Shut up. Stop hating every single thing that comes out. Jeez Louise.
The hate is real.
It is real sometimes, man. Jeez.
All right. Well, take care, everybody.